What's the most unforgivable thing a teacher ever did? I was on the floor shaking because my throat was closing and I couldn't speak. And I heard someone yelling my name like they were underwater, but I couldn't respond to any of them. And all I kept thinking was my EpiPen was not with me. And I realized in that second I was probably going to die at school in front of everybody. It started that morning when I had a severe shellfish allergy, but I had always carried an EpiPen on me since I was 7. And it was in one of those hard cases with my name and prescription on it. And every teacher I've ever had known what it was, but that day we had a substitute teacher. And she walked in like she was already mad about something and didn't even say hello. Just a list of rules and this weird tension in the air, so I kept my head down and focused on my worksheet, and she started doing laps around the room, and that's when she saw the EpiPen clipped to my waistband. And suddenly she stopped talking and asked if it was a vape, but I told her no and said it was my EpiPen. And I even held it up and showed her the prescription sticker, and I told her I had a medical allergy and it was prescribed. But she looked at me like she didn't believe a word I was saying and told me it was a new excuse and held out her hand. So I told her again calmly that I needed it because I had anaphylaxis and I could go into shock. But she rolled her eyes and told me I shouldn't bring banned items in class and grabbed it from my hand and walked to her desk and dropped it in a drawer and locked it and told me I could get it back after school, and if it was that important then I should tell the nurse. But the nurse wasn't even there that day, so I sat there staring at the locked drawer trying to calm down, trying to breathe through the rising panic because I knew what that meant if anything went wrong, and something did. At lunch, the cafeteria ran out of the labeled trays, and I got handed one with the same side dish I always get, green beans, but they were cooked in something else that day and I didn't even know what. But all I know is 10 minutes after eating it, my throat was tight, my face was hot, and I could feel it hitting me like a slow-moving train. I stood up and my chair scraped the floor and my vision went blurry. So I reached for my EpiPen out of habit, but it wasn't there, and I was gasping, trying to find air or say help. And that's when some kids shouted my name and others pulled out their phone, and I was collapsing and no one knew what was happening because I couldn't speak. And eventually one of the lunch staff ran to get the substitute teacher, and I heard her say she thought she had a pen and that I mentioned something earlier, but the substitute froze and she ran to her drawer. But by the time she got the key, I was already on the ground. And the ambulance medics got there first, and I woke up in the hospital, and my mom sat next to me with her arms crossed, not saying anything. And she didn't cry or yell, she just handed me a piece of paper, a printed copy of the school's incident report. And it said I brought an unregistered device to class and didn't inform the staff properly, and it violated safety policy, so they suspended me for 3 days. My mom called the school and demanded a meeting, but they just told her the teacher wasn't made aware of the device ahead of time, and it could have been prevented if I had explained better. They placed the substitute teacher on temporary leave, but they never apologized. And the next week, I sat in the front office with the principal, and he told me I needed to write a statement accepting it was my fault to keep this from escalating. But I didn't say anything, and I don't know what to do now.